Hello friends, welcome to Jiku Diaries YouTube channel. We review the second day's play of the third test match in this Border-Gavaskar Trophy 2024-25 being played at the Gabba in Brisbane. An entire day's play was possible. The rain kept away, and while 98 overs had to be bowled, only 101 overs in the entire Australian innings were completed until stumps on day 2. That means resuming at 28 for no loss after playing only 13.2 overs on the first day that was affected by rain. Today, on the second day on Sunday, 87.4 overs were possible in the entire 7 hours of action. Australia are on the front. They have gained the upper hand in this test match, and India, barring Jasprit, Bumrah, who else? India have lost the plot. It seems like the match is slipping away from India, and like they say, a third day's play in a test match is the moving day. The third test match of a 5-match series is also regarded as a moving test match. It gives an indication as to which team is going to win the series. And as we saw today, Australian batsmen thoroughly dominating, with Travis Head scoring his second consecutive century of this series and Steve Smith scoring a century that has been long due. Australia are in the driver's seat, finishing the second day at 405 for 7. Jasprit Bumrah took his second 5-wicket haul of this series, and he received little support from the rest of the bowlers. He gave India the initial breakthroughs. 3 wickets fell in the first session on Sunday, 2 of them to Bumrah in back-to-back overs, and the second session was entirely Travis Head's and Steve Smith's. The two completed their centuries in contrasting styles, whereas in the third session, Australia lost 4 wickets, with Jasprit Bumrah being the chief wrecker. He completed another 5-wicket haul, his 12th in his impressive test career, and he finished the day with 5 for 72 in 25 overs. Mohammad Siraj was the other wicket taker along with Nitesh Reddy. But it was Australia all the way. Even though they lost the openers to Jasprit Bumrah, Usman Khwaja and Nathan McSweeney falling to the leading wicket taker for India, Travis Head and Steve Smith had different plans. Travis Head has become or is becoming a real headache for the Indian cricket team. In his test career, he has crossed 1,000 runs against India alone today in the course of his 9th test 100 and the second in consecutive test matches following his 140 in Adelaide. Travis Head, we all know how much he loves playing against India and the Indian attack. A century in the WTC final in 2023, a century in the ODI World Cup final in November 2023, and a 50 in the first test match in Perth second innings, 89 runs, followed by 140 in Adelaide. And today, he scored 152 runs. And Travis Head, the way he scores, the rate at which he scores, he does not waste deliveries. While he scored 140 runs in Adelaide first innings in only 141 balls, today he consumed only 160 deliveries for his 152. Head, along with Steve Smith, they shared 241 runs for the 4th wicket. The entire session between lunch and tea, India did not strike at all. Head was batting fluently, scoring runs with ease, whereas If you look at Steven Smith, he struggled in the initial part of his innings. It was very scratchy. He was beaten outside the off stump. The unlucky bowler Akash Deep got the ball past the outside the off stump, got past the outside edge of Steve Smith, but was unlucky to not get an edge. Steve Smith saw through this phase, did not give up, and was determined to stay in the middle and get himself some runs, which was long due. Steve Smith's 32nd Test 100 came in the Ashes in 2023 at Lord's. Since then, he has gone 24 Test innings without a three-figure mark. In that period, he has scored 4 50s, and the last of them coming 8 innings prior to today. So India have allowed Steve Smith to come back to form, to get the big runs that he is known to, and they have allowed Travis Head to get away with yet another century. Travis Head was coming into this Gabba test with 3 consecutive golden ducks in his 3 previous innings at this very venue. 2 first ball ducks in the previous test against the West Indies earlier this year, and he was today under pressure. But then the form that he is in, he doesn't care, and in what a fantastic way to score again at the Gabba, where he has got 2 50s and a big 100 prior to those hat-trick of golden ducks at this very venue. Head crossed 1000 runs against India during this 100 today, and this is the most that he has scored against any opponent in the test matches that he has played over the years. We all have been seeing India heavily dependent on Jasprit Bumrah to pick up wickets, and we saw it again today. Within the first 15 minutes of play resuming on Sunday morning, Bumrah removed openers Usman Khwaja and Nathan McSweeney. Then it was Marnus Labuschagne. He lost concentration. He was a victim of not staying focused, because the over in which he was removed by Nitish Reddy edging to the slip cordon, the previous over, there was a lapse in concentration in which of the bowling of Mohammad Siraj, he wanted to swap the bails. Mohammad Siraj had the better of Labuschagne. He troubled him, and in his follow through went to the striker's end, just swapped the bails, and Labuschagne, clearly not liking that act, he swapped the bails again. So perhaps there was some lapse in concentration, and in the next over, Nitish Reddy bowled outside the off stump, inducing Labuschagne to drive and force him to edge to second slip Virat Kohli. So Mohammad Siraj had a role, he had a hand in plotting Labuschagne's dismissal. From 75 for 3, it was Australia all the way with Head and Smith putting on that big partnership of 241 runs, and they did not take much time or much deliveries. 302 deliveries was all that they took for this partnership before centurion Steve Smith was out soon after getting to the 3-figure mark, and Head also followed suit. Who else but Jasprit Bumrah to remove the 2 centurions, and in between he also dismissed Mitchell Marsh for single-digit score. Australia sitting pretty at 405 for 7 at the end of day 2. The talk was about when they would declare, whether they would declare and give India about half an hour before stumps were drawn on day 2, or whether they would bat on and use the morning freshness and the overcast conditions which is being forecast for Monday morning, use that and trouble the Indian openers. But then Australian captain Pat Cummins just decided to continue on batting, and they are now well placed. Rohit Sharma's captaincy has been under scanner in recent times, and especially when the team is not winning, and like they lost 3-0 to New Zealand at home, and the manner in which they lost the day-night test match in Adelaide, he has been much talked about because of his decisions. Today we saw him found wanting, especially with the field placements, and as we know how Steve Smith has been struggling and showing his vulnerability to the leg side, he ought to have kept a leg slip early in Steve Smith's innings, which was missing, and it was in that region that he has been dismissed in recent times, and we saw him go in that fashion in the previous test match. So why did he not keep a leg slip and trap Steve Smith in that area? Steve Smith got away, and if we noticed the first delivery that he faced, it was down the leg side, but it was well away from the reach of Rishabh Pant. There have been reports that Steve Smith has been working on his initial movement, playing back and across, and perhaps that was one of the reasons why he was able to score big runs today. But then that's no excuse. You cannot be just depending on Jasprit Bumrah, and you need your other bowlers to also support him well and take wickets. Jasprit Bumrah has taken a majority of the wickets, 17 wickets in the 3 test matches, with still the first innings in the 3rd test match of Australia unfinished. Let's hope that he gets enough support and India do well to not allow Australia to run away to a big score. As it is, 405 is a big score enough for Australia to win this test match in Brisbane. Interestingly, it was on this day last year that Australia scored 400 in a test innings. Since then, they have not crossed until today, that is. So it's Australia all the way, and they are in a strong position to win this test match, though it is early and it's only 2 days, still 3 more days to go. But then the manner in which Australia have come back since the Perth defeat, winning in Adelaide, and the way in which Head and Smith batted, and the manner in which Indian bowling has been not penetrating the Australian batters, it looks like the match is slipping away from India. Take care, stay safe, thanks for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.